Hey everybody, how's it going? For the past couple months, ever since I fenced in this new goat pasture, I've been hauling water, a few gallons at a time, and it's really getting old. So for today's project, I'm gonna run a water line out here. Alright, now that I got this trenched, I can actually go tap into my existing water line 550 feet away. So obviously, you've got to dig down to your existing water line. This one I put in probably 10 years ago and it feeds the vineyard area. And so I've cleaned up the pipe. It's 1-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe. And before I cut into it, I've got to go turn off the water. We want to have a T coming off this pipe and then shooting out to the new goat pasture. But in order to cut this pipe, we have to figure out a way to mend it once I cut it. And what I mean by mending is this doesn't have any flexibility in it. So it's not like I can bend them up and then bring them back down over this T. So this is actually a PVC mending pipe, and it's expandable. And what it does, so one end is going to attach to this pipe, the other end extends once you get it in position, and that end is going to go into our fitting here like this. So we've got this type of play. Now some people don't like these. It's got a gasket in there and they say they can leak over time. I've used these before with no leaks over a decade. And so what I'm going to do is line this up roughly, and I've already got my pen marks, and now I'm going to cut it. And you can use a hacksaw, but these things are worth their weight in gold. These are awesome pipe cutters, and basically they're ratcheting, and you just set it on the pipe and cut through like butter. Now, remember that there's water in here. I've drained it, but there's definitely still going to be some water in here. This looks like Schedule 20. Who installed that? Yeah, that's Schedule 20. So apparently when I did this a decade ago, I was trying to do things on the cheap, and I used this thinner walled pipe. You want to use Schedule 40. It's thicker. It'll survive more traffic on top of it. What do you think? Can I fix it? Too late to go back now. You want to make sure this is dry and it's not dripping. That's why I propped it up on this little log. And I'm going to put the T on here first. I've got my basically PVC cement. There's many different types. In fact, some of it's waterproof. That might be a good application here today. And you just swab it in there, and you've only got a few seconds to work with this. Twist it on there snug, point it in the direction you want. You see that's already set. Okay, I'm going to put our expandable pipe mender in here and glue it into this end. Easy peasy. Make sure it's in there nice and snug. And you see how fast that glue sets? All right, now I've got to fix the other end. Okay, this is a good opportunity to talk about the difference in pipe. They're the same outer diameter, 1 inch, but this is Schedule 20 and this is Schedule 40. You see how much thicker the 40 is? And this cuts perfectly. The problem with Schedule 20, besides the fact that it could crush under the weight of even a small vehicle, is when I was cutting it, it basically cracked. So what that means is I had to go further back, cut more away, and then put a coupling. And now I've got to put this little piece in here to make the connection. So when you're doing this, don't use Schedule 20, use Schedule 40. Okay, we're ready for the close-up. This is the big connection. So I've got my expandable pipe mender, and I've only got a few seconds. I pull it all the way down, make sure it's all the way down into that. And now that should be a watertight seal. All right, we're ready to lay our first 10-foot section of pipe. Now, I know you might be thinking to yourself, why doesn't he use PEX? Why doesn't he use 20-foot sections of 1-inch PVC? Why doesn't he use 3/4-inch PVC? Why doesn't he use something flexible, something that comes in a big roll and it's cheap? Well, if you do the cost analysis, okay, going from PVC to PEX takes a fitting. And so every time I went from PVC to PEX, I would need a fitting. I would need one here. I would need one at every hose spigot that I'm going to install. And those things are expensive. They're like 10 bucks a piece. And the other reason I don't use 20-foot sections is that I simply can't transport them. And then why don't I use rolled PVC? Like, it comes in a big roll and it's 3/4 or 1 inch. Because unless you leave it out in the sun and it gets really warm, that stuff has a memory, and it can be really difficult to kind of jimmy down into the dirt and cover up with dirt and try to make sure it doesn't rise back up. There's many ways to do everything on the homestead. This is just the version that I do. And you can look up on YouTube other videos, but basically I like 10-foot sections of 1-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe with easy to use fittings, and it just works great for me. All right, this is going to be the easy and fun part. Now that our trench is dug, now that we've got this T connection made, now it's just a matter of putting 10-foot sections in and a coupling. Okay, this is a coupling. Putting a coupling between the 10-foot sections as you go along. Another question you might have is, how deep do you have to put this? Well, I'm in South Carolina and we really don't even have a frost line. Frost line is how far the soil will freeze in the winter, how far down from the top. I'm gonna go about 1 foot in some places where I'm gonna have heavy traffic like the tractor. I've already dug it out to be about 2 feet deep. So this is going to be pressed down the bottom of the trench about 1 foot deep for South Carolina. Look up in your particular zone how deep to bury pipe when you go ahead and install a water line. Even though I used that trencher for most of the 550 feet, the trencher couldn't get into every spot. And this was a spot where I was limited. So I'm going to have to go through all of this gravel, all this slag, and all this clay the hard way. And trust me, I've been doing this all day. Now that's soft, but when you get over here, there's no easy way to do it. Sometimes you just got to be part of the chain gang.